Are we live? Got a couple minutes. Looks like it's 5 o'clock. We are live streaming. Welcome, Mayor Dave, fellow councilors, staff, to tonight's Committee of the Whole meeting. It's June 14th, 2022. This meeting is being held electronically and transmitted via our YouTube channel from the Lake Couch and Fire Hall, as we cannot use the premises of the town hall while renovations are ongoing. First of all, I'd just like to acknowledge that we are on the shared lands of the Subats First Nation, where we share values in social, economic, and sustainable projects. And with that, I will call the meeting to order. Looking for an introduction of any late items from my fellow councilors from Mayor Day. Mayor Day, please.
We're trying to beat the C out of the punch, but just to add in camera section 91K. The K
91K provision of municipal service.
Yeah.
I don't have it memorized, but I do know a bunch of
Ongoing discussion.
Ongoing discussion.
ongoing.
Provision.
Any other additions? Staff,
None.
fellow councilors? Seeing that, looking for approval of the agenda as amended. Moved by Councillor Bonacca, seconded by Councillor Austin. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That motion carries. And you'll note that the delegations and representations will not be present today. We will look forward to them coming at a later date. Minutes of the Committee of the Whole meeting held on May 10th. Any errors or omissions in that one that you can notice? Looking for a move. Mr.
I think
Fernandez.
it's here just for information because it gets passed at regular.
Just for information for now, and we will move that to our regular council for approval. But if you have any questions on that, please don't hesitate. Again, the delegation and representations are not here tonight. No correspondence. So we'll go to reports. And the first report would be the Director of Finance on the financial report for the period ending May 31st, 2022. Ms. Gill, if you would.
The property tax revenue has been reflected in these financial statements. So you'll see, as you know, the bills were sent out and their property tax notices are due by July the 4th. Not the notices, but the payments are due July 4th, as is the homeowner grants. And as is if you're applying for tax deferment, that must also be done by July the 4th. So we put something on Facebook just reminding taxpayers of the penalty and also to make sure they go online and claim the grant. We have found that a number of people did not pay it last year and thought they had done so by coming into the office and making payment. So other than that, the statements right here, I would be happy to answer any questions. One question that often comes up is the business license revenue. It's showing at over $27,000. However, 9,000 of that has yet to be collected. If you have any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, moving to fellow councilors. Councilor Sandu, please.
Thank you. Just a question, under general government services, municipal hall, a budget of 25.5. I've never asked that question because it's never caught my attention. What is that? Page 3.
The general government services?
Yeah, under general government expenses, sorry. Yeah, but under general government services.
Sorry, so which one is it?
Municipal hall?
So that's for the hydro, all the other costs are related to the municipal hall.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? I know one question that came forward in the town meeting was on surpluses. Can you explain the difference between restricted surpluses and just so people understand that they are set for specific items?
Exactly. Restricted surpluses have been set aside for certain purposes, either by legislation or by council, and they can only be spent for that purpose.
Excellent. Thanks for clarifying that. And Councillor Sandu, that must have tweaked another question.
It did, thank you. Under general fund garbage collection, the CBRD increased their tipping fee starting June 1st. Is that any concern we have from our end for the remainder of this year?
I'm not too concerned, since we brought in organics back in 2014. In the last, I would say since 2010, our tipping fees, we've only paid about $4,000 more, 4 to 5. So with the implementation of organics and more people using that service, we've been able to maintain our tipping costs at a really low level. And that is something that is covered in the annual report, just because it's good information. Good question.
Can I ask one more, just a follow-up?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Have we ever done a report, not a report, but just a staff report on when we started the organics to now, just to like how much our actual garbage went down, like year to year, just to like a.
Yeah, again, that is in the annual report.
Okay.
It is one of the other information included at the back. So something that it's good information.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Great. Any others? Mayor Day, please.
Thank you. Just a question regarding banners. We have a budget amount. Are we planning on purchasing some this year, or is that the next?
Probably next year. We still have some left over, and the ones up are still in pretty good shape.
And the follow,
Absolutely.
dangerous trees. Is that something we only look into once a year, or is when you get a concern called in, if it turns out to be a dangerous tree, does it kind of get looked after right away? Or?
Not right away, we'll have to get it assessed, but it's ongoing for all year long.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Any further questions? You don't have a question,
No.
Joseph, but please.
Just an aside, the annual, the AGM meetings on the 21st.
Prior to council. Oh, no, no,
Just
just
as,
21st. Okay.
Here.
Yeah.
5 o'clock.
I think it is.
And we'll put the annual report up on the website.
If that is the case, I will have to ask for a leave of absence for that night. That is the same night as the Couch and Minor Baseball Association annual banquet. So I will give you a heads up now that I will not be available for that. Okay, building inspector's report was supposed to be forthcoming, but
It's not available because the building inspector was away ill. Showed up today, but didn't have enough time to prepare it, so you'll see it at the next meeting.
we'll have a double up next
Double
next meeting and wishing him a speedy recovery. Municipal hall grade. You want that, Joseph?
Yeah, this is to do with the relocation. And talking to the architects and the contractor, they'd like to see the hall vacated sooner rather than later. And so in the meantime, I've had discussions with the new owners of the Allen Savings, the old Allen Savings building. And they are amenable to us moving in early July and exceed the monthly rental rate. And that would allow us to move wholesale and allow them to complete
Actually,
the building sooner rather than later.
I was quite surprised at the negotiated rental rate that is comparable to two-bedroom house rental in town. So that's shows you our housing needs, and that was just an aside. You're looking for a resolution to that effect? So moved by Councillor Sandu, seconded by Councillor Austin. Any discussion on that? I will start with Mayor Day and come to you.
Just one comment, I had to smile when I read the last phrase, council wants to thwart the arrangement for staff tentatively agreed to. That thwart would mean that could possibly be at a battle, but we're not.
Are you just gonna deny it? I'm just hoping that it would happen from this point.
Well, you got one. Seth.
There you go. Councillor Sandu, please.
Well, the mayor stole my thunder. I actually Googled it. I chuckled when I saw it. I'm like, okay, I know what that means, but let me double check. Prevent someone from accomplishing something. And I thought, am I going to deny our CAO a quiet office? No. I'm excited that the town staff is actually moving out because we've been asking this for some time, just, concerned for you guys and get the project, going. And so we're glad that you found a location and good to go. And if you need help moving, we're all, we'll help. No, honestly,
Well,
pack the boxes, whatever you need.
The timing was everything.
Yeah.
Just in response to that, I think we have staff. I think we have staff for that. We'll have a look at the superintendent there.
And then he'll look at me.
Did I see your hand, Councilor Mack?
You got good for a
Thank you very much.
What is the time frame that you think that?
Early July. We will move after tax time.
And how many months are you?
We were
anticipating?
looking at probably, I've been led to believe that the hall renovation will be completed before December, but I would rather not count on it. So we're looking at a 6-month deal. The new owners are, they're okay with whatever we do. So at least tentatively, we would say 6 months.
So they'll do a month to month then,
That's right.
when we're ready. Wonderful, thank you.
And I think that's a perfect segue into ensuring that our staff there are provided a safe and comfortable workspace. So glad to see that we have secured something if we get approval. It has been moved and seconded, I believe. So I will call the question. All in favor? Opposed, if any? Glad to see we did not thwart that. That'll be the new word. I believe they're taking pecuniary out of the oath of office in the upcoming election, so we won't have to worry about pecuniary anymore. But now we can work on thwart. And we'll move on. Thank you very much. Lake Cowichan Fire Department Incident Report. This is for April 2022. Looking for a resolution. Move forward to council. Moved by Councillor Sanders, seconded by Mayor Day. Any discussion on that while we're here? Call the question. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That carries very much. Next is UBCM ministerial meetings. Joseph.
That's man, Bob K. Davis.
Okay, Mr. Day.
Thank you very much. They have their call out for to start making appointments, so I gave it some thought and I did send the CEO was aware, but my suggestion, much to do with the sewage lagoon grant application, would be the Minister of Municipal Affairs, Minister of Land, Water and Resource Stewardship, because it has to do with the flows going into the Cowichan River, and Minister of Environment and Climate Change Strategy. Now, that might sound like overkill, but I just thought I'd pick off the obvious ones and see which ones we get a response.
Sounds good.
Okay, Councillor Sandy?
Thank you. I just had a question. I looked into this also. Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure, would that have anything that would, with our infrastructure or sewer or anything like that?
Mostly roads.
Roads?
So given that, there was considerable discussion at CBRD on ministerial meetings at UBCM and trying to provide those people that are not within close proximity to Victoria the opportunity to meet with the ministers at UBCM. Given that we're only an hour and a bit away, do we want to take up that 15 minutes, because that's all you do get, to try to sell or pitch whatever topic you bring forward? Or would we be more well spent to actually go down to Victoria and have an hour meeting with the ministers that you had suggested on that topic? So just something that came forward on a real pressing issue, perhaps looking at a ministerial meeting, but on other issues, perhaps trying to move to in-person longer meeting in Victoria with the minister involved. So that was just something that was brought forward as a possibility, giving those from Burns Lake and other faraway communities the opportunity that we are blessed with being so close to just travel down and meet with them. Councillor Sandy, sorry.
Well, I think that we've missed out on some of our requests over the last few years. And I know, I think that with Zoom, I don't want to not put these recommendations, requests forward, because unless we could do a letter now with a date, I just don't want to go into August and then we have nothing, period. So I think we have a lot to talk about this council and the election being in the middle of October. So if we could get a letter to whatever ministry, if we could have something before September, or, you know.
And don't get me wrong.
Even a date in September, like it's just a guaranteed time.
I'm not suggesting that we do bypass the ministerial meetings. I'm just
No, but-
suggesting that we have
Yeah.
a longer opportunity
Yes.
to meet with them as our close proximity.
So if we send a letter
Let's
in.
Pick
saying-
one. Mayor Day, or sorry, I had Councillor Austin first and then I'll come back.
Yeah, I was gonna say to do both to see what would work first, because if we could get a meeting prior to the UBCM, and then it would free up time for other people. I think that's a really important one, but you could put both requests in and see what happens.
Mayor Day, please.
Now we've got a menu. Councillor Austin's idea is a great one. If we can get in a request for some, because I was going to go along the same lines, but I would choose to go for both. And then whatever ones we didn't get at UBCM, we could go for, and the ones that we did get at UBCM, if it was the Minister of Municipal Affairs, the most important ministry probably in this process, we could definitely ask for a follow-up meeting. But then the elections.
Or a meeting prior to UBCM.
Okay, so you want to leave this for a little bit of pondering and we can approve some at the council meeting, perhaps? Is that, or do you want to move those tonight? Your choice.
I think we should move them tonight. Make the
Absolutely, and
decision
then we
tonight.
can approve it at
Yeah,
we can do
council.
both,
Yeah.
yeah.
So would you repeat that, please, Mayor Day, the ministries you'd like to meet with?
So
And
I'd
topic.
like to move that we arrange meetings with the Minister of Municipal Affairs, Minister of Land, Water and Resource Stewardship, and the Minister of Environment and Climate Change Strategy regarding our sewage treatment plant grant application previous to UBCM, as well as
A letter requesting a follow-up or prior meeting in Victoria
correct.
with said ministry.
Correct. Is that gonna make sense to them?
Well, it's recorded, so.
They'll make it make sense.
So either in person or clarification on an in-person in Victoria.
And if I might just add, so that's the motion, but I'm just worried that say we can't get the Minister of Affairs, it's whatever. Let's just say we missed one by not asking for all three.
Yes.
We need to ask for all.
I think all three previous and it's
Yeah.
probably two processes, right?
Okay, do I have a seconder on that? Just a point on that, I think Flynn Rock may be also an entity, Forest Lands, Natural Resources Operations. They are also involved in some water.
Love the amendment to my motion.
Oh, no, I'm not suggesting that.
No, I just think this is an important enough one
Yes.
that we, it seems silly, but it doesn't hurt to get in everybody's ear.
How about we tweak it to all ministries involved in water? No, it's been moved and seconded. Councillor Ross.
I was just gonna say, when you, if you go on, you're gonna go online and ask for these three ministries, right, or four. At the time, can you say we're also writing a letter to see if we can meet prior to UBCM? To give, so you're telling them why you're going to do it, to give other groups time to meet with those people at UBCM? Because we'd have, you know what I mean, explain it.
I think there's a ministry request application through UBC if you follow the template,
Okay,
but certainly we can include a letter to those.
A little note.
ministries.
right, thank you.
So are we okay with that? I'll call the question. All those in favor? Those opposed? And if I may, I would like to reintroduce the safety of Highway 18 through the Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure with the continuing carnage that is being seen with the ungulate episodes and vehicles. So just a follow up, and we can do that in Victoria. I'm not suggesting we do it at UBCM, but we had discussed following up with the ministry on something more than just the lighting. It doesn't seem to have mitigated the episodes of collisions within that stretch. So I would just like to follow up on that at some future date, just so you're aware.
Question.
Absolutely, my
Thank you.
peripheral didn't catch it.
Do we have any way of collecting any stats as to the
If I may, I've
accidents?
reached out to Sergeant at the RCMP previously on the incidents, and we could get a follow-up and a update on what has occurred since that last time that we had. A yearly stat, I think, would be important moving forward in our attempt to get some more safety implementations within highway. Okay, Mayor Day.
Just another question on that to the superintendent. Do you attend ICBC highway safety meetings still that they might be able to provide stats as well?
Probably could. The last one got canceled due to some illnesses, but yeah, it should be scheduled again pretty soon.
Great, so between that and perhaps RCMP, we can get some updated stats and move forward with looking at another meeting. Try to implement something. Thank you very much for indulging me in that. Water treatment plant and residual aluminum readings. Who would like this?
I could.
We'll start.
The Allen houses have been very unhappy with the aluminum reading, and they have directed, mandate actually, that we undertake a review of that through use of professionals. So that process was reached out to the previous engineers, Stantec, and they provided the code. And because we had till May 11th to provide the scenario by which we would meet the requirements. And so we're at this stage where I've got a code, and it's up to you to whether approve it or not.
Okay,
And I think they're well aware, Allen Health is well aware of the stage we're at. And it seems okay with it.
okay. There is a recommendation there. We have been dealing with high levels of aluminum within the lake supply itself for quite some time, I believe, through all the water treatment plant updates that we have received in the past 2 years. Trying to find the source within 56-kilometer shoreline is difficult, I would assume, but they do have levels of aluminum that are acceptable within the Drinking Water Act, so we do have to deal with it. And in the recommendation, I will read it, that council recommend approval for Stantec Consulting Services to undertake the work in conformance with Island Health's mandated requirements on meeting the established aluminum levels in the amount of 29,900 plus taxes. If someone would like to move that, we can have some further discussion. Moved by Mayor Day, seconded by Councillor Sandu. So further discussion on that? Councillor Sandu.
Just a question, in the reports, is there been a specific time of the year that the readings have been higher than other times? Like,
They have been, yes, and they're, the Island Health is well aware of that.
Yeah.
But they just want to be satisfied that that's not an anomaly, that it's, they want to know what the factors are. So that's where it's at. And I think the superintendent did allude to that today with me, that, whether the restrictions should be made at the raw water source or within the plant itself. And maybe there was something to do with the pipes, as you indicated, that could be the cause of it, but we need to find out. Right?
So with this report, that will give us a suggestion of
What solution
input is.
And if not, we will be looking at further capital costs, which I don't think we want to entertain.
No. And just to be clear, we do use an alum in our coagulant.
Correct.
So just to take the reading at the intake, I think
Would be nice.
not enough information. So within the intake, within the plant, and then an outsource would be, but I will wait for Stantec's suggestions and move forward. Any further
I just have
discussion?
one question.
I'm sorry.
When will they start?
As soon as the,
Okay.
as soon as the water.
If we don't thwart this.
No
I should have
forwarding.
used another word.
No, we like
I
that.
like that word, that's a good word.
Anything else?
The thwarters.
You're not gonna thwart my
Please,
journey.
that's not.
Okay, I will call the question. I'm sorry. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That motion carries. Look forward to that report. The Public Works again, dog park locations. That is a hot topic. Is that
I
yourself,
think it's,
Mayor Day?
Dave,
Well, Mayor Day did add that there was a question that came up at the public meeting, so that's spurred on the topic, and just wondering, it went back to the advisory planning commission. I think I've heard the answer before from there. I know it's not a strategic priority, but just wondering if there's any, sometimes we come up with solutions that don't cost a lot of money. I just wondering if there's any movement at the staff level. Where that comes to.
I think the superintendent had an idea, putting it at the old tennis courts. And I think that's an idea that's still, doable, but at what cost? And I think we've got to allocate dollars towards that project.
If you wish to continue,
Sure.
okay. I will allow you.
2023 budget item.
Direction of council. I think. And I think to include it in the strategic plan for next year.
Okay, Councillor Sandu, I thought I seen your hand for.
The old tennis court, so is that actually not off the South Shore, like
No,
that
no,
lot,
it's way
but
back in the
way
back.
where the old ones actually
That's
were? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else? I think that anywhere you place it would be an improvement, considering what is being used for dog park now is the baseball fields, and it's a continuous cleanup within that facility prior to baseball happening. It is cleaned up every day for baseball. We shouldn't put that upon the volunteers to have to do that within Baseball facility, Mayor Day, please.
Yes, just late this afternoon, I did get an email from a resident close to Stone Park telling me that now that they put a fence up around that park, it's now turns into a ad hoc dog park now. So,
Yes, with the same problems. Councillor Austin, please.
If we have problems like that at those parks, could we put the doggy bag containers there and a little garbage can? More work for our public works, but that's the only solution. And then I know people still won't pick theirs up sometimes, but some do. And if we could do that, that would be good.
Try our best.
I would frown against that. I think you're encouraging the use of that ball field
Oh, I see.
as a dog park if you do
Yeah.
that.
I know, but they're doing it anyway,
And that's
so.
not the intent. If you can't be a responsible dog owner and pick up and remove your waste, I don't think putting a bag there will remedy anything, but that's entirely up to you. Sure. Councilor.
What about the green park? You know, where the playground that used to be, that's just like grass.
Up by Pine Street.
Yeah.
Where the coffee box.
Oh, you
is.
mean Satellite Park?
Um,
That's Satellite Park.
nobody will go there.
It's not big enough, they say. It's been brought up at the
And
ABC.
How can we help people? Give them 10 acres? What do we need to do here, people? Like,
We
seriously,
live in the country, it's.
take your dog for a walk.
But I think the suggestion on bringing that forward in 2023 with staff's input on possibly the old tennis court within the Centennial Complex would be something that we could look at and whether justifiably could allow it to happen within our financial operations. Councillor Womack.
I'd like to see it come forward in 2023. Of course, we have a new council coming, but I'd hate for us to rush and make a decision that might not be suitable just because people want a dog park. I think we'd rather wait until we find the right location and we have the money to do it.
Fair enough. But this is great to get the topics from a public meeting and then try to discuss them here. Mayor Day, please.
Just wondering if it's appropriate, two things, wondering if it's appropriate to add it to the strategic plan tonight. Now we don't have to mess around, making sure it gets on the further agenda for 2023. And also I'm going to say I like Centennial Park location because it's not, there's no houses bordering that. So that's not to say that has to be the spot, but I'm just saying I like that location because if we put it inserted in the middle of a neighborhood, we might hear from it. So,
I like the idea of adding it to the strategic plan for 2023 and with that,
then I would make that motion.
moved by Mayor Day and seconded by Councillor Bonacca, that dog park be added in the 2023 strategic plan update. We always said that that was a living document, so there we go. Any further discussion on that? Call the question, all those in favor? Opposed, if any? That motion carries. Thank you very much. From the CAO, Duck Pond Park progress update. Mr. Fernandez.
Yeah, the progress, we're at this stage where the signage has been approved and the contract to undertake the groundworks should begin fairly shortly. So everything's on schedule. The official opening date of that dog pond park is September 3rd.
That is hard to say fast 4 times. Okay, there is a,
I can send you the pictures of the proposed signage.
Okay.
Which I got today.
okay, there is a staff recommendation there. If anyone is interested in moving that, the committee agrees in principle with the items above listed for the Duck Pond Park upgrade. Any further discussion?
I just wanted to mention that Kinsman removed the equipment on Sunday, I believe.
There's,
And then they put up the fence today, I think.
the work.
Yesterday.
Great. Do I have a mover on that? Moved by Councillor Sandu, seconded by Councillor Austin. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Look forward to that accessible park for all to enjoy. That great project, and been a long time in the making, but thank those that have been involved in raising those funds. From strategic planning, we have the tourism roundtable May 12th meeting update. Would you like to take that, Mayor Day, or? Excellent.
There was a couple of issues that were rather important to get back to before summer really starts at the end of the month, and that was the access around the duck pond and possible denial of access at the duck pond by the landowner. So we decided that we should meet again fairly soon, and I'm going to suggest a date. And there were people at that meeting that were going to check into a few things. I don't know if our superintendent had any time to meet with anybody on that topic. So the concern down there regarding safety. The amount of people parking. No solution yet, but anyway, so I'm going to suggest a meeting date of June 22nd. That's a Thursday at 10 a.m. To try and gather that group together again and see if they've made any.
It's a Wednesday.
Oh, so let's make it
Thursday.
23rd, June 23rd at 10.
10 a.m. seemed to work for
And that's on Zoom.
yeah. So Mr. Fernandez could send out an invite for that. That'd be great.
Councillor Sanders.
One of the big concerns was the a second ambulance. And we talked about reaching out to whomever and just seeing where we are, especially with the 5 festivals in town. Just to see where we are with the second one being staffed. So we could have something that ahead of our meeting, then we could at least, if possible.
Sure. No, that's doable.
Anything else on that, Mayor Day, or anyone else from tourism? Okay, moving on then. From the Otaki twinning, we did receive an email from Ayako in Otaki on the delegation itinerary. Unfortunately, this year we were unable to accommodate homestays because of A, lack of time, and B, COVID, but they are coming, so the itinerary is attached, and we will probably have a meeting with them upon their arrival, I'm hoping, and at least say konnichiwa, or whatever time they get here, we'll say the appropriate thing. I'll teach you all.
I was gonna say, you're gonna have to.
Mayor Day, please.
Yes, I mean, is it possible to arrange some form of luncheon or dinner? If they have 2 full days in the couch. So. I don't know what the appetite is. That's the right word. But
Appetite for lunch?
appetite for some form of hosting. It's just 6 apiece.
6 students and $5.
$5, 11 people. Doesn't have to be anything extravagant. Just
Could we have it at the club, like just showcasing again our,
We've generally had it here,
oh,
and I mean, small groups. It depends on what they have to collect. I think there's something going on at that time.
Could we perhaps, if I may, reach out once they do arrive and see what their itinerary is while they are locally? I'm sure they have some plans within that and what would accommodate for a gathering of at least in this facility. I think would be appropriate. We used to do the welcome reception here as they arrived on the bus, and just have a perhaps a tea luncheon of some sort. Is that appropriate? Perhaps staff could reach out to the superintendent, who is the head of the delegation upon arrival, or with the help of Mayor, maybe, and reach out. Is that appropriate? Okay. Mary Day, I did see your hand.
No.
All good there? Okay, yes, Councilman.
Does the town still have a list of former residents that went
Homestays?
to, well, homestays or people that either homestayed or went, that might be just to let them know that they are coming?
I think what,
Yeah,
If we
we-
could send out
Just needs to be updated from the last list.
yeah,
and perhaps on our social media platforms and that sort of thing, Facebook.
might be people who might want to reconnect with people they saw before maybe. And the other one is what about the school? Should we're trying to continue to keep the twinning process going, should we maybe be contacting the school to see if maybe we can encourage students that might want to go to Otaki?
Hopefully they have, if I may, hopefully they have a tour of the school in their itinerary, but we can also reach out and just see what they're doing while we're in Lake Cowichan for the 2.5 days. See if that is on the list. If not, we could suggest reaching out to the new principal on perhaps attending there for even an introduction. And just to remind people that we do have that 20, Joseph,
Yeah, the only thing is they're gonna be here on the weekend, so I'm not sure. We'll find time,
Friday, Saturday, Sunday,
and even, but
unfortunately, the timing of that,
Okay.
yeah. But we can certainly reach out to the school and tell them that they are attending as delegates of our sister city and tweak that interest again, try to get that going again. Okay. So I'll leave that with staff and the mayor to reach out to the head of the delegation then. Or we will, not me. I said we.
You.
We've arrived at a consensus.
We have arrived at consensus. Yes.
We have reported.
We have new business. The CAO on expense claims and FCM. Joseph?
yeah, just looking for council approval on an expense that was incurred, which is over and above what our normal approval process is. And I guess the issue is that sort of an extraordinary expenditure, so it needs to be brought to council for approval. And the other issue that I would say it's an unusual expenditure considering that there was already a bus service, free bus service from the hotels to the conference center, so I think it's only appropriate that the council approves the expenditure.
And if I could just anecdotally explain the bus service in Regina. I did try to utilize that service. I stood in front of the hotel, which was one of the stops on the route for 1.5 hours without any sign of a pickup. So I jumped in a cab and away I went. It was not consistent. There was a lack of service within some areas. Being about 20 to 40-minute walk, I was not entitled to do that because there was an ice cream place along the way that I probably would have stopped at every day. But yes, I understand there was a service, but it was not the best provider. Councillor Sandu.
Yeah, I would say, just ahead of FCM, they actually said that there wasn't a lot of cab service, and that was one of the biggest complaints of FCM from the delegates at the conference center was they were standing out waiting sometimes 1 to 3 hours to get their bus back to. So it's not like it was a steady stream, and where we were, it's not a 20-minute walk, it was a 20-minute drive. It would be an hour, a good hour walk, because we were on the other side. So, and going back and forth that we did. So it did save going to the airport, whatnot. We picked Councillor McGonagall and up at the airport, you know what I mean? Like it was utilized for FCM and it did, they were saying it was like $25 to $35 a cab ride that one way that people were taking from their hotels, whatnot. So this is here for however council sees fit, so.
Okay, I do have a little bit of a problem in voting.
Oh, I can recuse
If
myself,
you
sure.
wish to. I'm not telling you what to do, but I don't do it. I believe I did, didn't I?
You did, but it's all right.
And it wasn't telling you, it was a suggestion.
You're just kicking my chair to get out of
I'm
it.
going to the bathroom.
I saw a hand, Councilor Ross.
Have I'll make the motion and then I have the
That
words.
council approved the reimbursement of $673.26 to Councilor Sandu for the vehicle renter expense incurred at Regina for FCM. Seconded,
I'll second that.
seconded
Discussion.
by Mayor Day for discussion, and I'll move to Councilor Austin for that.
So, yeah, the shuttles did not work, as everybody knows, it was unfortunate, and the cabs were $20 and waiting, so it worked well, and when we basically just went back and forth between, we ran a sort of a industrial park. We weren't near the city, which was annoying, because that would have been nice to walk around. And we actually ate our meals right at our hotel with either Denny's or Moxie's. Everyone was going to the keg and all over the place. We didn't do that. So I know it seems like a lot. I just think they're charging more for car rentals these days, and I think it was, I know it seems like a lot, but I think it was valuable. I think we would have spent probably as much if we were taking taxis, because we didn't all do the same things at the same time. Sometimes the superintendent would come and pick me up and take me somewhere, or, to something different. So,
Anyone else? Yes, Councilor Bonacca.
I have a few questions that I'd asked our CAO, and I did get the travel expense form, and there's nothing that pertains to the rental vehicle. There is mileage if you take your own vehicle. And so the shuttle service on the FCM, yes, it said that it was provided for. Whether it was sufficient or not is another question. I had also asked whether there was any pre-authorization beforehand, whether anybody had contacted him via text or phone or email, and he had said no, that there hadn't been. I'm glad Councillor Sandy, I appreciate that she did remove herself because being that 3 members utilized that vehicle and did benefit from it, I feel that I'm in a situation that I'm very uncomfortable with. And I was surprised, and I've lost a lot of sleep since Friday trying to figure out how to deal with this, because when we did go to FCM with former Mayor Peters, if we missed the shuttle, yes, we walked 20 minutes to get up to the convention, and if we missed it coming back, we did the same thing. And so my question to myself was, if there was a rental vehicle that somebody took it upon themselves to rent, would you question who is authorized it and who is paying for it? Would have been my first thought as a counselor. And so I just want to put this out on the table that I'm in a very awkward position.
And we appreciate that.
So thank you.
It's an anomaly not having this accommodated within the council reimbursement policy. And it wouldn't be for UBCM trips that occur in the province. We usually take our own vehicles, and the mileage would be incurred in that. I think it would be more for any future travels to FCM in further parts of the country, that perhaps an amendment to the bylaw with pre-approval, maybe an avenue to look to mitigate any future conundrums within expenses. Joseph, I did say
Yeah,
that.
the issue with putting it in the policy or the bylaw is, what is the limit? You know, is every council going to rent?
Yeah.
Vehicle, and so I think it'd be better to pre-authorize the the use of rental rather than putting it into a blanket policy, whole bylaw. because
Well, perhaps that should be initiated within future FCM, that any car rentals or over expenses above our council remuneration or expense bylaw be pre-authorized.
And if I may add to that, and maybe that could be added to the on-road bylaw,
Yes,
stating that little piece there, so everybody's.
so everyone understands. And I think that's where the confusion applies, but I appreciate your concerns. Mayor Day, please.
Yeah, so, not having had any details of really about this, I thought, well, if you didn't like the chicken for lunch, does that allow you to go out by lunch? Because, that's how nitpicky we are about this, when there's a meal provided, we eat the meal, stuff like that, so I thought, but now that I've heard that it's a 40-minute to an hour walk or whatever it is, now that would make a little bit of sense, so I've heard the story, I think it was right to bring it here to have the discussion. It has to be written in somewhere if it's gonna be the norm coming forward. Because we've always done such a good job of sticking to our guns when it comes to clean heels, and I think things like that.
Councillor Austin, please.
And just one more thing, this was kind of different, like other places, like anything I've ever been to, UBCM or FCM or ABICC, we're usually close. This was totally different, and it was so far apart for different things, so it was a bit of a different, and I did mention to I didn't ask for approval, but I did mention to the CAO before we left that a car was being hired because of the distance between the hotels and where we were, but I didn't ask for approval, but
Well, you don't want me going into more detail on that, I'm sure.
yes, no, it wasn't
I'll
me,
leave it at that.
yes.
And I think we've identified the gaps within that, and we'll have it rectified within the policy or the bylaw, and have that added for pre-approval. Within the accommodations in Regina, there was only one hotel that was within walking distance of the facility. All the rest were considerably out in the industrial area. So just something else to consider. Are we done there? Okay, I will call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Would you like that recorded? Councilor Malacca is opposed, and I will have to vote in favor as well. So that carries. And we can just pause here for a moment while we invite.
Good discussion, right?
Absolutely, I think we've identified a gap. Please. The owl pick us up going to the door.
Yeah, I think it did.
Yeah.
Doesn't call you the one.
Yeah, watch your.
For those watching at home, we have the device recording.
Watch your gait.
Oh. Was I limping? No.
I would.
We have a device that is voice activated that follows our live stream. We call it the owl because that's what it's called. Under new business, we do have CAO, Municipal Services Agreement with Subats First Nation. Would you like to speak to that? Bruce?
Yeah, well. I don't remind myself what it is, but I wrote. I use any other special word. Yeah, basically, we've Karen Hamilton, the operations manager, and I had a meeting last week, and we thrashed out the differences we had. We came to a meeting that basically was where we settled all the issues except the DCC. And then you got a letter today, I think, which basically threw that all away. And this afternoon, I got an email from Mr. Hamilton, basically saying that most of what we've agreed to is back in place. So it's a matter of me reviewing that, the details of that, and I will report back to you on that. And I think we're closer than we were this morning.
Okay, anyone have any questions on that? I just appreciate all the work that staff has put into trying to accommodate our First Nation in their project. It's a difficult situation when we're trying to provide a service to an outside entity that's not within our municipal boundaries. And we're doing our best to accommodate the Subats First Nation in their project. We wish them every bit of success within their economic drivers, and this happens to be the initial project on that. If you drive by there, it is a jewel on that side of the lake now. But it is cumbersome to provide services to those outlying within municipal boundaries. I appreciate all the work that you have put into this, all staff. Look forward to an amicable resolution for both parties. Joseph,
If I may add to that, the superintendent was involved in some of the discussions. The last discussion was just solely between Mr. Hamilton and myself, because we were dealing with the details of the contract.
and I think that's appropriate. I don't feel that it is our job as counselors to negotiate municipal service agreements. I believe that that should be staff to staff. And when it is accommodated through your process, it is brought forward back to us for the approval portion of it. Once you involve elected officials in the negotiations, that's when it can be derailed. And I have witnessed that in the past, and I'm glad that none of us did reach out and become involved in that process. That's not our job. If I wanted to do that, I would have applied for the CAO's position or the superintendent's position. So just clarifying what the role of mayor and council is through policy, bylaws, and the implementation of good governance. That's our job, not negotiations. So just to be clear. Okay, anyone else? You don't want to follow that
Follow up.
At a later time.
at a later date?
If I may,
Yes, sir.
I'll just have further discussions with Mr. Hamilton, and then I'll report back to council
Excellent.
prior to the 20th, maybe by the 20th.
And I know there is a time constraint on there, and we'll
Yeah.
do our best to accommodate that within the time frame. Okay? Nothing else? I didn't see any notice of motion at the start, but I will make one now. That I have a leave of absence for the AGM upcoming on June 21st. I will be absent on that day. If you will allow me to.
I'll make the motion, granting Council McGonigal leave of absence for the meeting. Date of the annual general meeting.
And that would be June 21st, moved by Mayor Day, seconded by Councillor Austin. All those in favor and those that want to thwart.
That's wonderful.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I have committed to attending that. As umpire in chief, I've got to hand out some awards. So. You will allow it. Okay, so we're moving on. The question period. Gotta make sure I get the right phone number this time. We'll have 3 minutes per speaker and a maximum time lock of 15 minutes for question period on items that have been on tonight's agenda. You can phone in to 250-749-6681, extension 122, or email to general@lakecouchen.ca. One more time through the owl. You can phone at 250-749-6681. When prompted, push extension 122 or email to general@lakecouchen.ca. We will take 3 minutes to wait for the phone calls or emails. And we will return at 6 p.m.
So I-
Yes.
So like, you want me to?
Yeah.
Go
No, it's fine.
just don't wanna say
I can go off.
any jokes.
No
Should I make joke? I mean, let me
It's
just
fine to joke about.